The Maintenance Man. Tensions were high around our apartment complex when I was around age 10. In a month's time we had a man that committed suicide in a unit, a partial fire in a building leading to reconstruction, and a child that had been hit by a car who later survived. Even at a younger age, I remember distinctly having a strong grasp on the bizarre events that were taking place. It had to be around spring in 1997. My mother was single and raising my 5-year-old sister and myself. She managed a different complex and would pick us up from school and drop us off at our apartment while she returned to work for a couple of more hours. I have 3 older siblings who have all moved out, and at some point had to keep an eye on each other at a young age, so this really wasn't a new premise. There was no money for a sitter, the oldest just had to assume the role. For the most part, we were really quiet kids in our second and third story unit. We played with our toys, watched a little television, and sometimes played Sega or Nintendo. On this particular afternoon, I recall playing with the Dash Rendar figurine from Star Wars while my sister was doing whatever in the same living room. Suddenly, the doorknob started violently shaking. My heart dropped, and I remember it being the first time I had felt such terror. I rushed to the phone and paged my mom, 911, and then dialed 911 to let the operator know that someone was breaking in. The operator reassured me that help was on the way. The door handle was still being messed with, but I was nervous if the deadbolt and chain would be enough to hold. A couple of loud bangs happened, as if someone were ramming the door with their shoulder. Then it all just stopped. The cops arrived shortly before my mom, only to find a note from the maintenance man saying something like, "Air filter check." Now the maintenance man claimed that he announced himself verbally, but I knew it was bullshit. Of course, the cops did nothing, and my mom's complaints at the office didn't yield in this man being fired. Unfortunately, this wouldn't be the most unnerving part of the story. My mom said the guy would stare her down in the parking lot and just smile at her. The whole situation creeped us out, and we wanted to move, but we couldn't afford the expenses. One night a couple of weeks later, I was wakened by a loud thud coming from the roof. Being so easily rattled from the previous event, I ran to my mom's room to wake her up. She checked around to make sure everything was in place and reassured me that it was probably a rodent or something. We went to school the next morning and were dropped off at home in the afternoon as usual. Mom usually did a quick sweep of the place even before the attempted break-in, but this time, something just seemed off. It was just a very uneasy feeling the apartment had when walking in. My sister and I were ordered to stay downstairs by the front door while she investigated upstairs. We waited patiently and felt very unnerved when suddenly our mother's shrieking confirmed our suspicion. She came barreling down the stairs and ushered us out the door. We went to a neighbor's and phoned the police. My mother was barking at them, "Someone is in our apartment!" The police responded pretty quickly, and I was finally able to understand the situation. The bedroom had a walk-in closet that contained the hatch to the attic that connected the entire building's AC unit. There were shelves that were pretty high up, lining the closet walls. My mother walked in to find a dirty pair of men's underwear laying on the floor. This was enough to send her running and phoning the police. However, the investigation revealed something more. The attic hatch had been disturbed. Just to add, the police found full handprints on the shelves in the closet. The noises I heard the previous night were more than likely this man hoisting himself back up into the attic crawlspace using the shelves to climb on after visiting us. The man was taken into custody, but I don't recall what the sentencing was. Coincidentally, my older brother is now a homicide detective for that area. We ended up moving shortly after this event occurred.